Welcome to MEA TV. This is the House of Law, and I'm attorney Lillia. Today, I have a special guest with me, attorney Clarence, who is also running for a judicial position in Oakland County. All right, Mr. Das, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started as an attorney. I know that you and I were talking a little bit beforehand about your family and how your family's full of doctors and you're the only attorney in your family, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, tell us more about how you started and why you chose to be an attorney, I guess.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, and we've worked together in the past, so it's great to be here in a different format with you, but I am the first lawyer in my family. My family is full of doctors, actually, and scientists, and so when I was young, it was really after September 11th that I started forming this, internal passion of mine to practice law, but I started figuring out what I could do with it. And I saw what everyone was going through after 9/11 and how important I thought the courts were to not only protecting people's rights and liberties, but also to protecting minorities and protecting, communities at large from stereotypes and other things. So I pursued law school. I went to law school. I came back and I became a prosecutor. I was an Oakland County prosecutor for 5 years. That was one of the best jobs I've ever had. I served in the Special Victims Unit, so I was prosecuting some of the most serious crimes in Oakland County, crimes like rape and child abuse and domestic violence and even murder. After 5 years as a prosecutor, I really thought that it was time to do something else and be part of a bigger solution to justice reform. So I started my own law firm. That's where I've been for the past 5 years. And I represent people in family law, criminal law, and business and municipal law. So it's been a great over 10-year career. And now I'm running for judge because I've been on both sides. I've been a prosecutor, I've been a defense attorney. I'm a first-generation American, like so many people in our community, the first lawyer in my family. And I've had other personal experiences we can talk about that I think prepare me to judge and give me an idea of what it's like to be every single person in a courtroom. That's the most important thing in a judge, is for a judge to understand what everyone's going through.
Absolutely. Now, tell me about your personal experiences that actually led you to want to become a judge. I know you just mentioned that, and I want to know more, and I'm sure our viewers do as well.
Well, yeah, besides being a prosecutor and seeing all of these horrible people going through bad things, victims and children and the elderly, that really developed in me an importance for the rule of law, that we need to hold people accountable. We need to be able to punish people where they need to be punished. As a defense attorney, I saw the other side where I saw that we don't have to put everyone in jail if they don't have to be in jail. I always say some people need to go to jail, because they do, to protect the community and if they're extremely violent. But we can rehabilitate people, we can treat them, we can make sure that young people are given jobs rather than jail sentences, and all of those experiences matter. But my most significant experience happened in 2017 when I was just leaving the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office and starting this law firm, and I actually found out I had cancer. And in 2017, I was told that I had a 15% chance to live, and I was 31 years old at the time. When someone tells you that you're not going to make it past a certain month, your entire life changes. It's no longer about 5 years from now or 10 years from now. It's about that day and making it to the next day. So I woke up every day. I made a personal commitment that I wasn't going to give up. I was not going to give up not only my life, but I wasn't going to give up my law firm. And so I worked. I went to the hospital. I went back to work. I went back to the hospital. And for all of 2017, I made it, I survived, and very thankfully I did it. Because I went through that experience, I looked at my life and I said, you've been given the second chance at life. What do you want to do with it? What legacy would you want to leave when it is your time to go? Thankfully, it wasn't 3 years ago, but when it is, what do you want to leave behind? And I want to leave a legacy for my kids' children, of justice and impacting people for generations to come.
That's amazing. Now, I do want to mention one thing. So I kind of did read that about you, and honestly, I was like, this is an amazing man, because a lot of us, especially within our community, we're given the one chance to prove ourselves, to work through everything. But sometimes when like a life-changing event like that happens, some people give up. Some people don't make their jobs a priority. Some people are like, maybe I can't work through it. And when I read that about you, I was like, this is an amazing man. This is an amazing person that he worked, because being an attorney is not easy at all, because we're not only dealing with our lives, we're also helping others deal with their issues, their whatever they need. So we're helping people and ourselves. So to me, that is an amazing accomplishment on your end, that you worked hard, you worked through that, and I mean, you got my vote.
Thank you.
That's in itself amazing, because I know that you as a leader in our community, as a judge, I know you will do the right thing. I know you will work hard. I know that you will, forego whatever issues you have at home when you're in the courtroom, when you're sitting as judge, and you're gonna forget about your problems and you're gonna focus on the problems of those before you. And to me, that's amazing. That's what we need.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that.
Of course.
And I think it's the last point you made is really a great point, and not a lot of people say that part of it, but that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
When you go through something like that, first of all, your emotions peak. I never get emotional anymore. I get emotional for some things, family and things like that, but it's very hard to move me and phase me, which means any case that would come before me as judge, I'm going to look at it objectively. I'm no longer going to look at it like a human being anymore, although in some cases you have to. I'm going to look at it fairly and independently and without my own personal biases and views that we all carry.
Mm-hmm.
But two, part of it is understanding now that when people come to court, and this as an attorney, no one wants to come to court. They're coming to court because it's not their choice. They're at their desperate moment of their life. They're either getting divorced or they're fighting for their kids. They're charged with a crime. They're losing their business. Their most desperate moment was my most desperate moment in 2017. And I understand that. I understand that they are sitting there nervous, scared, and that's the most important thing going on in their life. It's the most important thing going on in my life too, if they're in front of me. And that's an important quality I think you need in a judge.
Absolutely. I've been before judges. Obviously I'm not going to name any names, but you can just sense how the outcome of your case is going to be, because as you're watching them, you know that they might have some sort of personal bias, or that they have their minds made up already about how they feel about your case or the cases that I've watched go before me. And that's why I said that we need somebody that will be neutral, that will, put their bias away. We're all biased in a way. But as a judge, as someone that has so much control over another person's life or more than one person's life, I think that needs to be removed. The bias needs to be removed. Your feelings need to be removed. And you need to focus on the actual situation that is before you. And that's great that you're like this. That's great that you mentioned it. That's great. That's what we need. We need more people like you. We need more people that have gone through the difficult times but still worked through them, that still, advocated for others, that still fought for justice. And again, you're in a great position, and I think that you would be wonderful as a judge. We need more of that, like I said. And what are some changes, or what are some things that you would like to see if and when you do become judge?
Well, thank you again. So I think one thing that the coronavirus pandemic has showed us is that not everything has to be done in a courtroom. We have a lot of people who sometimes can't afford to go to court, are scared to go to court, don't understand court, and making information accessible to people without coming to court would be a big priority for me. That means on my own personal judge's website, having links for people that they can go to easily access documents.
That's great.
And that's a very difficult thing that a lot of people don't get to have access to. Saving people time and money is another important priority I think I have. As you know, way too many cases go to court, and way too many cases oftentimes go to trial that could have been settled in a different way. And even though a lot of cases settle, they don't settle early enough, and it ends up costing taxpayers money, it ends up costing the litigants money, and it ends up costing lawyers, because everyone ends up having to pay for the attorneys at that point. So I would really encourage facilitation, arbitrations, alternative dispute resolutions, and have that as a requirement in some cases, that people talk to each other first. It's amazing how many people don't talk to each other before they get to court, even lawyers. I am a former prosecutor, so I always used to have to talk to a defense attorney before I walked into a courtroom. When you move out of criminal law and go into family law or business law, Sometimes the only times lawyers talk is in a motion that's filed that could have been resolved over the phone, or even if they get to court, they're sitting on opposite sides of the courtroom and no one's talking to each other. I think, in fact, when we had a case together, you and I talked, and I emailed you and you emailed me, and we were able to resolve, actually, I think that one particular case we did
immediately after,
without even having to go to court.
Yeah.
And that is something that will save everybody time, money, and the heartache of having to go to court.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you're aware of the virtual hearings that we've been having in court. Now, do you think that will continue? Do you want that to be a part of your courtroom when you do become judge? Or, how do you see that playing out in the future?
I think that it's going to be a part of our future now. It's hard to put something in place and then take it back in general, right? But what we've seen is that you can do things quicker, easier, and in a more efficient way without having to come to court and spend the time driving back and forth, etc. The only area where I would be concerned about it is in certain cases, like criminal cases, where you have the right to confront your accuser. It's different when you're on a computer and you're talking to a judge or you're talking to a witness. You don't get to see that witness's entire body language. You don't get to see their mood swings or their body swings, etc. But you can do that in person. So you have a constitutional right to confront your accuser. I would require that some cases that have that element would have to be done in person. But wherever we can save people time and money, I would encourage the Zoom or any other technology that's going to come about. And it's probably going to be part of the courts for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Any other changes that you foresee in the future in a courtroom? And I know you mentioned that, we have the Sixth Amendment Confrontation Clause. Do you see a trial ever being on completely online? Because, from what we're seeing, cases are beginning to rise again. And, I know that I had a hearing, I had a criminal case that was back in November. We had to adjourn it so many times just because it was a criminal case. And they wanted the defendant to appear, but we ended up doing it through Zoom. But now for trials and whatnot, they were also pushing those back. And I believe those have been pushed back till the fall, from what I've heard. Now, if, let's say, we shut down again, how do you think that courts will end up, or what do you, I guess it's just, what do you think will happen with cases like that? Instead of having to continue to push them back, do you think that it will end up being virtual at any point? Or, I guess, what steps need to be taken to make it that way?
Well, I think we're all going to have to find a balance. You've heard the old expression, justice delayed is justice denied. The more we prolong someone's case, the more that they suffer, the more that justice suffers, the more the community suffers. But there are cases that you can have a trial online. Civil cases oftentimes are numbers based, and they oftentimes are in front of a judge and not a jury. You can do that online. But it gets difficult sometimes. If you have hundreds of pages of documents and exhibits, how do you effectively do a trial? As the law is, it's a science in some ways because you have to know the law, but there's an art to it. We advocate, we persuade, we need to be persuasive. And it's tough to do that on a computer. In criminal cases, it's a very sensitive problem because, again, someone might be in jail longer than they need to be because of the pandemic. We need to do everything we can to make sure no one serves one day longer than they need to and come up with a balance where we can serve justice but still get the case moving. We can't have people postponed, and a lot of these cases are our cases in September. We can't have them go a full year of being postponed. People need to move on with their lives.
Now tell us a little about how people can vote, where they can vote, when do they vote?
Yeah, and why they should vote, which is the most important part of that. I always tell people that you liking my posts on social media is fantastic, and you coming to my events is fantastic, but I will not get the job unless you actually vote. That's the only way I'm going to get this job. So there's two ways to vote. One of them is by absentee ballot. Everyone in Michigan has received an application for an absentee ballot. You can, if you haven't requested one, you can do so if you want to, and you can get a letter in the mail with a ballot, fill out the ballot, pick Clarence Das, send it back. Or if you want to go in person and you just are someone that likes to be traditional about it, I'm actually one of those people. I like to go in person to vote, especially because I'm on the ballot this year. It's special to me. August 4th is the primary, and we have a primary election. I'm running against two other people. The top two vote getters will get through August, and then November will be the final general where one person will get through.
Okay, awesome. And I guess I know you said that you're traditional and you like to go and vote in person. Are there any events that are taking place before that where people can actually come and support you in person, or between now and August, between August and November, if we get past that point, which I know that we will? How do you see that? I mean, are any events that are coming up that our viewers can possibly attend if they're interested? Or
Absolutely. So we have a few events coming up actually in the next week or so even. But the one I would point you to is on July 22nd in Birmingham at a restaurant called Adachi. Everyone knows Adachi. Everyone goes to Adachi and knows downtown Birmingham. But we have an event called Dare to Be Das, which is my last name, but we're partnering with a company called Dare to Be Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a fundraiser. It's, I think, $100 a ticket, and you get a campaign t-shirt when you go. But that's how I can meet you in person. We'll be following all the rules for COVID and things like that. We have some other events. The best way to do that is to go to my Facebook page, which is Clarence Das for Oakland Circuit Judge. And we have all of our events, listed. I'm getting choked up about it. And come to the events.
Absolutely. Now, I know you said that you're teaming up with Dare to Be Yourself.
Dare to Be Yourself, yeah.
Do you want to explain that a little bit more? I've never heard of it myself.
Dare to Be Yourself is a company that encourages people to have high self-esteem, to be who they are without having to fight stereotypes and things like that. I know the founder of Dare to Be Yourself. I'm going to cough one more time. It's an allergy thing. And he reached out to me. His name is Ty Davis, and said, you've got all these personal characteristics and you kind of showed what it's like to be a strong human. We would love to do an event together. So Dare to Be Yourself is doing this event July 22nd, and we're encouraging everyone to come. We'll have a maximum capacity of 100 people because of COVID, but I encourage everyone to come.
Awesome. I'll be there. Hopefully our viewers will be there as well. Any last words that you want to add before today's episode is over? Anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to, any words of encouragement to those who hopefully will follow in your footsteps? As I told you before we had our interview today, I also want to become a judge one day. So that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to sit down with you and get to know you a little bit more and get to know what steps we have to take and your passions. And I thank you for, taking the time and sitting with me today and letting me know of all of that. But go ahead and tell our viewers, any last words of encouragement? Vote dates again if you want to go ahead and give those to our audience as well.
Well, thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be with you. So you'll make a great judge one day.
Thank you.
And I hope you pursue it. The most important thing I think people need to remember, and it's not just if you run for judge or go to law school, is to never give up. At so many points in life, you think that you're not good enough, or you think that there's a problem, or you're scared about competition, or you're scared about whatever. And fear is the biggest detractor from your success. So never give up, no matter what comes around. If you believe in yourself, which is half the battle, you'll be able to accomplish anything. And so don't give up, follow your dreams and do what you need to do. But the other part of it is you must vote. You have to vote. If you care about this country, if you care about your community, if you care about your local environment, you can't just complain about it after the election. You need to invest yourself in it by voting. Every vote does count. I've seen elections where the elections get decided by 100 votes. 100 votes, that means if you contact 100 of your friends more than you did that earlier day, you could have won. Every vote matters. You need to vote, and you need to keep spreading the word. My website is Das4Judge. It's DASS, 4, judge.com. Das4Judge. I'm on every possible social media thing you can find, and you can always call me and email me, and I love to talk to people.
Awesome. And again, when are primaries?
August 4th and then November 3rd.
Okay. So August 4th, go out and vote. Thank you for watching our show, and thank you so much for sitting with me today, Mr. Das. And again, August 4th, go out and vote. It doesn't have to be for just Mr. Das today. Just go out and vote so we can make some changes in this country, hopefully. And let's make it happen. Thank you for watching The House of Law, and we'll be back next week.